squeeze your glutes as hard as you physically can.
Okay, Jill, so what are prone donkey kicks and why is this one of your favorite glute exercises?
I love this exercise. It is one of my absolute favorite for my glutes. So if you have a Smith rack, sometimes they will stay unhooked pretty easily, but as soon as you put those feet on the bar, as you can see, like the soles of your feet go on the bar, as soon as you do that and start moving, that thing is going to rack and you're just going to keep racking the weight. You kind of tie it just a little loop, and then I always just tie it around the big weights that are on the side of the Smith rack. So that works perfect for me. You can also see kind of how the bench is aligned just in front of the bar. And then I lay just so my hips, kind of where that fold is right off the bench. My feet are going to be a little bit wider than hip width apart and almost toes angled out. So like out in a V, almost like a sumo. Mm-hmm. Get the middle of the sole of your shoe right on the bar, and then you are ready to go. Also helpful if you have like the safety stoppers on the Smith rack, go just below where you're going to go to for your full range of motion. That way you can leave it unwrapped while you get on the bench and, get your feet in place. So then you're going to kick up. And what I really like to focus on when I do this exercise is obviously keeping the toes out, pushing through the soles of your feet and kind of almost the heels. But think about your core here, because you don't want to raise the bar super high just because you're arching your back, right? So you can push that Smith rack up real high if you arch your back and try to push your whole lower body up into the air, and right. You can do it, but what good is that doing for your glutes, right? So think about, as you're pushing up, almost tucking your pelvis under, almost like a cat, right? So cat versus cow, I guess. So rounding that lower back and pushing your pelvis down into the bench as you push up. So it's almost like you're fighting. You're pushing down with your hips as you're pushing up with your feet to squeeze your glutes as hard as you physically can. It is not about how high you move that bar. It is about the amount of contraction that you can squeeze that glute. And by keeping your hips down while you're pushing your hips up, you're going to get that max contraction in your glutes. And then as you come down, kind of let your feet drop and let your knees come down and almost forward, like towards your shoulders or towards your head as you come to that full range of motion. Nice little pause at the bottom and think about the starting of that motion. Again, get in the mind of the muscle to those glutes to not think or not allow yourself to use your lower back to start that movement. So that first contraction, think about your glutes and think about them tightening, and that is going to raise the heels. So that's going to be your squeeze. But the biggest thing there, I hold on tight to the front of the bench with my arms so that my upper body is secure. I push those hips down as hard as I can into the bench as I push the legs and the Smith rack up.
Wow. To your point on thrusting your hips into the bench, that's a very, very good takeaway. I do them single leg, but I'll still keep that in mind too, because it's my knee touching the floor. But just like when you squat, when you push on the earth, physics dictates that the earth pushes back on you. And so I love how you're explaining that for the energy transfer and to get the most power out of this exercise.
Yeah. In fact, when it comes to squatting, the thing I think about in my head is very much the same. I don't think about pushing up. I think push the ground down, like push the earth away from you. And that is the biggest helpful cue I've ever gotten from, I don't even remember where I got it now, but I can't think of anything else when I do squats. So very, very true. Think about just pushing the earth away.